Welcome to the Business of You podcast, the show dedicated to helping service entrepreneurs build a better brand to grow a bigger business. I'm your host, Michelle Griffin, and I'm here each week empowering you to put yourself out there, sharing actionable tips and inspiring stories so you can create your personal brand, grow your dream business, and build your future, all while making more income and more impact doing exactly what you love. I'm super excited you're here. Now let's get going with today's show. Oh, hey, it's Michelle working the camera again. Here we go. Welcome everybody to today's show. Super excited to have you here. I am excited to introduce you to this fun lady, Meg Clarke of Clapping Dog Media, the founder of Clapping Dog Media, where she helps creative entrepreneurs, small businesses, and personal brands like you get found in search, i.e. Google. Welcome, Meg, to the show today.
Yay, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
You are so welcome. Well, let's get started. Okay, so when we hear the word SEO, I know I do. I'm like, I don't know. That kind of scares me and I want to run away. How do we, well, first we need to talk about your story, but answer that question and then we'll get back. I jumped ahead. I was so excited about SEO. Why should we not be scared about SEO and search? And then tell us your story and how that connects to where we are today.
Absolutely. Well, I feel the same way when people say SEO, that they're an SEO expert. It makes you kind of feel like they're doing like voodoo magic or snake oil, and it feels weird. But we will talk about my story in a sec, but I am passionate about Google because there's billions. I think it's 7 billion Google searches a day. So I am convinced that people are looking for you. Yes. And we just need to help you get found. And so if you can rise above, trying to be all of the places and do all of the things and dance on TikTok and just show up in Google, it will make a really huge impact in your business.
Oh, that's great. I want to dive into that. But first, I skipped ahead. Tell us a little bit of your backstory so we can connect the dots and then we'll go into that.
Absolutely. Well, I went to school to be a graphic and web designer. And I live in Northern Virginia, just outside of DC, and had gotten jobs at really great ad agencies here in Northern Virginia, working as a designer. Loved it. Loved being a part of a team. Loved working together and building brands and websites for local businesses and agencies here in the city. But then I had kids, right? Yeah. And we had a little bit of a funny story where we adopted and then I got pregnant. So we went from like no kids to 3 kids in literally 3 minutes. It felt like it, but it was 18 months. And so I quit my agency job and stayed home. But it wasn't long after that where I was like, I really miss work. I miss connecting with people. I miss creating. I mean, I played Legos and I could build a mean Lego tower. That I really missed work. And so I started to design for other women who were in my position, other women who had transferred home for whatever reason and we're starting up a side hustle. And I was like, I want to work. You don't even have to pay me. I'm just so delighted to creating again. And so I did that for a couple of clients, a couple of friends. And, I had not realized when I was working at an agency that I thought being so vain that the design was the biggest part of the work. Like, if it's beautiful, people will come. Yes. And all of you other people, whatever, I didn't really realize what they did until I started doing it my own. And I realized that a beautiful design and a wonderful product does not mean you're going to get traffic.
Oh, that brings us to what? SEO. Then is that the story you have of your friend who was a renowned Olympian running coach? You built her a site.
And crickets.
Yes.
Crickets. Yes. One of my good friends, when I was in college, I ran track and cross country, and my coach had asked me, she was starting to train specific, like literal world champion and Olympic runners. And she just wanted a quick website. So I did it for her and she got like nobody. And I was like, wait a minute. She has a huge name in the running world. She had a beautiful new site that I built for her and crickets. And so it was her site that I felt terrible on and was like, we have to figure out this traffic thing and this marketing thing. And that's when I discovered Google and search engine optimization and haven't looked back.
You haven't looked back. And now you're the founder of Clapping Dog Media, where you help people with SEO. So let's dive back and go back in that other circle. So you hear like white hat SEO, black hat. I don't know. I just have always kind of ran away because it just seemed, So you're
Yeah.
out to help. And I love the tagline. And I want to give you credit because I always give credit where credit's due. This is from your website. I put this in like the details in this and today's blog or post. You're too good not to be found. And that's a perfect thing for anyone, but especially for us B2B personal brands who are trying to get out there, either your company, a leader, executive, have your own consulting business, whatever. You are too good not to be found. We're very much alike, Meg, because I want people to put themselves out there, get their brand, build their content. And so you're very complimentary. So if you're too good to not be found, where does one start? Tell us where to start.
I love that question. Well, I love marketing and advertising on LinkedIn and we'll talk about it, but it's very tied into Google. But where I want people to start is on their own website. I love social media, but you're kind of
rented land. Yeah.
It's rented land. You're subject to their own algorithms. And Google certainly has an algorithm, but they pretty much publish and tell you what's happening and what they're going to focus on. And so I really want clients to focus on their site and put videos, podcasts, content articles on their site so that Google can associate their brand, their URL with their content. So it's an easy, quick connection. And the biggest thing is showing up authentically as you want to be found. Talk about what you're an expert in over and over.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think. I say that all the time. I mean, I practice go on a social media platform like LinkedIn is our place because that's where people are, but always bring them off to your site. That's the thing. Go where the fish are, but catch them to bring them. And the thing about it is I'm kind of guilty because I'm in the middle of a website redo. I have a link to my LinkedIn blog, which probably is not getting, Google's probably not seeing that. I should probably, and would it hurt me if I take some of my content on LinkedIn and put it on my thing? Will it cross each other out? Does Google like that or is it frown on that?
Well, I think that's a really great question. And it's a little bit more complicated than just, yes, totally do it. But yes, totally do it. The thing is it needs a little bit of time. So if you, let's say you wrote an article tomorrow and you immediately put it on LinkedIn, Medium, and your blog and Facebook. Well, Google's going to read that article and not know the priority of where to rank all of these different mediums, all these different things. And so I really recommend that you choose one and stick with your primary one first. I vote websites, but LinkedIn is also very powerful. And we have clients who prefer to put their content on LinkedIn first. But put it on LinkedIn or put it on your blog, either one, and then wait 2 to 3 days and then post it on the other. And so that gives Google an understanding of where the primary source of that content is. Whatever one went up first, and if you're consistent with it, Google will understand and will rank that one higher than the other sources.
Well, 2 to 3 days, that's very doable. I was scared you're going to say 2 to 3 weeks or months. So, once a week, maybe that's a great tip. I had no idea. Now, should we I'm getting more into the tactical stuff versus strategy, but I want to ask this one question. We'll go back to some higher level stuff, but do we have to change the titles and all that? Like they say you used to when you're putting it somewhere else for the second time?
No, because Google's smart. Google is going to read the article. I mean, it's certainly worth, there is no big difference in changing that. If you have the content is the same, but if you change the title, Google's going to quickly understand that it's still the same article. So that is not something that I recommend doing. That is not something I recommend doing now.
Okay, maybe years ago, but Google's getting smarter, is smart. And the beauty thing is, unlike some other platforms, they tell you what's the deal is their algorithm, right? They are so transparent. That helps people like you. Yeah, that makes life easier.
It certainly does. I mean, they don't tell us the complete secret sauce, but they, like, for example, last January, they told us, hey, there's an update coming in the spring and we're going to be really focused on user experience. So look at these aspects. And so we had 6 or 9 months to really get smart on how to fix it, smart on how to test it, and then really be proactive for our clients. So they're not always that helpful, but they certainly try to be, because for Google's perspective, Google's a business and they get paid when people use their search engine because they get paid via the ads. So
Yes.
it is in Google's best interest to serve the best answers for every
Yes.
search inquiry. And so it's really a collaboration of website owners, SEOs, and Google's to really try to figure out how to speak as clearly and effectively to Google.
Yeah,
and to
that's
users.
great. Well, okay, so this brings me, where do we get started? You're telling us, put your own original thought leadership content, whatever you want to call it, on your site. You know, you can
Yes.
maybe touch base, bring it back there. That's huge because, you know, there's so many people who just throw up a landing page or a website, a brochure site, and call it a day and think, as you know, build it, they will come. That's not the case. Google will not look at that and go, oh, that's a beautiful site. They're looking, what their secret sauce is content. The content is a fuel for our brands. I've said that so many times, but especially here, right? So that's the
100%.
language. It's always looking for new content. Is that how it works in a layman's term?
Yeah. I mean, what it's actually looking for is valuable content.
Okay.
And they want valuable content that the users will engage with and benefit from.
Okay.
A lot of the times it's also timely. But then that's not necessarily the case. I mean, I work with a lot of foodies, and there, you know, a great zucchini recipe from July of 2018 is still as good in 2021. So you'll see different verticals have more time constraints. But what Google is looking for is, hey, a piece of content that got really engaged, that people shared, that people read, and then they clicked around on the links within it. And so that engagement, that providing value is really important. And that's what Google looks for. Google looks at what people Google, what page did they go, what page did they click on, and then they try to understand if it answered the question, the query, by how the user interacts with it.
Okay. So that brings me to, how do you do that? It looks for, you need to put still keyword search terms in your content. Gone are the days 15 years ago when it was all stuffed and horrible. I know Google just wants plain human speak. So what's your best advice and maybe there's some tools or tips. Like I did a post the other day about Answer the Public, which I find fascinating. I love that one. Even the free version, super helpful. What are your top tips, takeaways, strategies to know what to say?
That is a great question. My number one tip in creating content is to make it skimmable. Google, because people don't spend a ton of time on every site. The average, side note, is 12 seconds. So the average time spent on a page is 12 seconds. Like,
oh my goodness.
It's really hard to get people engaged and involved and to even remember you in only 12 seconds. But what Google is looking for, and also our users, and they really kind of line up, is they want to quickly understand what the page is all about. So Google will read the title and then the headlines first, and then it will circle back up and read the content. So when you're creating content for your site or a blog post, make it skimmable. Break up big blocks of content with big headlines, and make sure the headlines are clear and they bring the user through the story. Make sure that they tell people, you know, what's going on and what this article is all about.
Okay. Good tips. And I say that about my LinkedIn content. No one wants to read, layers and layers is a thing. White space is your friend. And, you don't see it as much on LinkedIn as subheads, maybe the articles, because it's more short form content, but user experience is just as important as valuable content, I'm hearing. So that's super good.
Absolutely.
Okay. So scannable with some search terms. Any other suggestions to, when we put that video, the post, whatever it is we put up there, make it scannable? Anything else we should think about?
Yeah, I love video and I love podcasts. And one of the main reasons is there's a couple of things that Google really cares about. And when Google is kind of evaluating the value of a website, it looks into these things that we call the metrics that matter. And so Google assumes that if a user spends time on the page and clicks around to multiple pages, that the site is providing value. And so with that said, I love video, because video, if it's an engaging video, will keep users on your page because they'll sit and watch it. And so, you've been down that YouTube hole where you're like, oh my gosh, dinner is not going to make itself. I wish. Although if you wait long enough, kids will literally just eat cereal. So
yeah, exactly.
Either way, that's neither here nor there. But with videos, I love video. I love that engagement. Once the user is already on your site, but to get users there, you have to put words around the video because Google doesn't understand the video. So
That's true.
write words that describe what value users are going to get, what the problem was, just write helpful descriptions about the video so that people from the World Wide Web can land on the page. And then once they land on the page, they'll become engaged.
Okay. That is great advice. A lot of people have videos and podcasts. That brings me to questions. I think it's important, and tell me for Google importance, is if you have a podcast to put show notes or even the transcription or something.
Yes.
Thank you. I've always said, I haven't asked an expert in SEO that helps for SEO. Is that correct?
100%. 100%.
Good.
I mean, Google, there is going to be a day in the not so distant future that Google will be able to understand audio and video clips. So we're starting to get image to image searching, but we're not there yet. And so you might as well help Google out by help and users. Like users don't want to commit to entering to listening to a podcast to find out what it's about.
Yep.
So, and you'll see that a lot of the Google tips are also beneficial to users, which is so nice. But tell people what it's about. Tell people the value they're going to get, because especially with podcasts, it's a noisy world. And so we need to attract people who are looking for what you have, for what you're an expert in, and for what you're talking about.
Exactly. And I know the titles are important for, SEO titles. And my thing is, sometimes I just want to read instead of listen, so cater to different formats for different audiences or different times, wherever, so I always say have video, audio, and even transcription if you can, or at least transcription audio, because we just can't always listen or feel like it. So that's good. So search terms and keyword titles, if you have podcasts or videos, show notes or transcription. And the beauty is there's so many free transcriptions now, low cost, it's on LAI now. It's just, there's even sources that'll do it free. So I'm a huge fan, and I can put some resources on that. So if you guys wanting to know that, what are some of the tools that you'd recommend people start using to do better with SEO? Do you have any that are friendly?
I do. There is one that I really like. It's called Uber Suggest. That's Uber, like the Uber, ubersuggest.com. And what that tool does is it kind of gives you an idea of what people are searching for. Okay. So let's just say that you specialize in helping people be found on LinkedIn. Delightful. Well, you can start searching for some of your topics, some of the things that you want to write about, and you can get a gauge for what is most popular. What are people searching for? And it will tell you about how many people search for that a month. And it will also tell you what websites or what pages are on page one. So you can quickly see, okay, there's 1,500 people searching a month for this. That's great. People are looking for this topic. And then you can see what's ranking. What are people looking for? What answers are they getting? What does Google see as valuable? And then it's really helpful to strategically plan your content that way. I love to start brainstorming with just ideas that I have, but I try to always back it up with keyword research, because I don't want to spend the time writing something that no one else really cares about.
That's so true. We think people like it, but nope, unless they search for it, probably not. That's a great tool. Also, I know we're getting a little more technical in this question, but Google Analytics, that works for any platform. Is that true for any Shopify, Squarespace, WordPress? Okay. So
absolutely
definitely use that one.
And I love Google Analytics. I have a love-hate relationship with it because it's so complicated. I think there's over 500 reports that you can pull from it. Yeah. And it's like, what? What does that even mean?
Is there an easier way? I know there's some other companies that do it. That's for an average person to use. What do you think?
Yes, I recommend that you do use analytics because it's Google, and they have a really deep understanding of users and how they interact with your site. And so, I really recommend that you stick with one menu in Google, and that's called the acquisition menu. And you see where people are coming from. Lots of times people will spend all of their energy creating Instagram reels, And then they're like, oh, my reel was so great. I danced so good. But that may not bring people to your site. And so I think it's really important for you to understand where your people are coming from and to see if what you're reaping is actually what you're sowing is actually coming to your site.
That's the theme I'm hearing is so important. Like, here's the thing. We can be tremendous on LinkedIn, TikTok, Instagram, wherever. Get all the views, get all the stuff. But at the end of the day, we want them on your site. And there's a lot of people who are getting fantastic engagement. But at the end of the day, are you getting to your site? Are you getting a conversion to a call or a sale, whatever? I mean, we're not just doing social media for vanity metrics here.
No, don't care.
I mean, some of us can, and that's fun, but I don't think most of us want to do that. So yeah. So at the end of the day, please okay. So if someone's on LinkedIn, I know even a lot of people are on LinkedIn or whatever social media, what's the minimum viable thing they can get their own platform that'll work? What do you suggest?
Well, I love platforms. I totally recommend, as we started this conversation, have your own website. And Squarespace, it's beautiful. It's very user-friendly for design. I love Squarespace. I also like WordPress. Wix is fine. Shopify, if you're in e-commerce. But I actually have a client that started with us at the beginning of the year, and he does not have a platform. He doesn't have a domain, but he is a thought leader in his industry. And so he publishes articles on LinkedIn twice a week. And when you Google, his name or some of his area of expertise, his LinkedIn articles come up 1, 2, 3, 4, because LinkedIn has a lot of authority with Google. Google understands LinkedIn. It gives it authority, and he shows up consistently on LinkedIn, provides very helpful content that's valuable for the world, and he is getting found for it.
So you're saying, caveat here, if you want to do articles, because right now we talked before we went live that we both heard that Google was going to start indexing LinkedIn posts. I had heard that. Maybe it's in the pipelines. Yeah, but it's not happening yet. To me, that's kind of an invasion of privacy, but whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
But kind of weird because you have to kind of connect. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. But articles, those are fair game because that's kind of like LinkedIn's version of Medium and Substack. It's their publishing platform. So you're kind of fair game because of Google. And I tell my clients all the time, don't listen to anyone who's saying articles don't get me anywhere. Well, hello, they can get you found on Google. That's one thing. It can get you thought of as like a thought leader or an industry expert. And number 3, when I published 6 or 7 articles so far in the last couple months, people read articles who don't read your posts. Like it brings in a totally different group,
it does.
Different people. So articles, I love the articles. I mean,
it works.
I just do. I mean, it's kind of refreshing I'm a big advocate of changing up your formats and, LinkedIn also has a newsletter platform, which they're not giving away anymore. I don't know how to get it, but I don't know. Does Google index the LinkedIn newsletters? Have you seen any of those?
I have not seen those.
Okay, those might have to be subscription based or something.
And I think people since you have to opt in order to receive that.
That's true too. Yeah. So articles right now are a way to do it. Okay. So as we get into I want to ask you your top 3 and all that. We talked about SEO for LinkedIn. You promised you would give us some ideas on how to get found a little bit more. What are some of your tips for LinkedIn SEO?
Yeah, love this question. Definitely publish articles. Get in a regular cadence of publishing articles. And of course, I'm going to sound a lot like you. Engage with your audience. Yes. Don't just like people. Ask questions and comment on your stuff, but then also other people. So then you bring people back to you. So engage, grow, publish as yourself, but then also tag your business if you have a business as well. And really just consistently showing up with the air of providing value of like, I am here to help you. I am not necessarily here to get something back from you. But if you show up with that authentic, hey, I have this really great tip and I think it might help you, that is the greatest way to show up online, including LinkedIn.
Oh, that's good. The law of reciprocity really works well here. And also, when I find it's kind of like stay in our own little circles. It's smart to, when I was a Girl Scout, it was like that little sign, make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other gold. What a dork I am, right? I still remember it. But anyway,
I feel like you should get a badge.
Yeah, I need a badge for remembering that, right? It's ingrained. But I always like to say, go find your relevant industry hashtags and make a point of going in there and interacting with some of that content too. Go expand to second degree and even third degree connections. We want to have a community that keeps growing. And
that's right.
So that's another way to get to search the LinkedIn world. So yeah. So anyway, I love that. So let's talk about the 3 takeaways as we get to our last 3 minutes. I always ask everyone your 3 takeaways, top level takeaways, or whatever you want us to know for SEO, for personal brands, or even company brands here on LinkedIn and beyond.
For sure. Well, number 1 is I don't want you to be intimidated with SEO.
Okay.
If you don't get bogged down with all the technical mumbo jumbo, but just consistently show up and provide value to your people, and Google will reward. Number 2 is make content really skimmable and readable, because you have people who are driving, who are checking out your thing at a stop sign, who are on a bus, and who are kind of doing it at work as well. So make your content skimmable, and then also make your content link to similar articles. Our goal, we haven't even mentioned this, is we want to be like Netflix, where you just get in and you get sucked in. And before you know it, Netflix is asking you if you're still watching. So link to additional articles, link to other articles within, or videos or podcasts within your realm, so that people can binge read and binge consume your content. They will remember you, they will recommend you, and they will buy from you.
I love that. We totally forgot to talk about links, internal and external, but at the end of the day, the external links will give you authority, but the internal links will keep them in your, Netflix binge-worthy area.
That's right.
And so that tells me get going on content, because if you want people to binge, you got to make it. So
that's right.
That's why content is, a $1 trillion business. It's the internet. It's the language. It's what the internet operates on, right?
It is.
That's what we go for, to be entertained, inspired by, it's all some form of that. So that's why I'm a huge proponent of it. And obviously that's the way your stuff works too. So great takeaways. I'm not scared of SEO anymore. or run away from it. I think it needs a rebrand on the name anyway.
I agree.
I don't know what that is.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm on a one-woman mission to
I'm gonna
fix it.
You were so creative, being that creative person you started in your industry. You find that name and you come back to us, because that way we won't be scared. It's just, and Google's trying to make it friendly too, right? So that's super, super helpful. Well, Meg, this has been a delight. Where can people find you, learn more about all the good things you do?
Great. Well, I can be found everywhere on all social medias at clappingdogmedia.com. So awesome. He's not here anymore, but I have a little dog who hangs out. He's a big dog who hangs out underneath my desk. And then when I get really excited, I clap, he gets up and he wags, and we have a little celebration together. So we are Clapping Dog Media.
I love that. Isn't his name Vader, if I did my homework right? Yeah. Yeah, he's adorable. Yes. So go check him out. I think he stars on Instagram a lot. You're on Instagram.
He does.
And LinkedIn. Which one are you on more, do you think, with your business?
Right. Weaning from Instagram and gaining more on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Simply because I'm finding my family and my neighbors are on Instagram, and they love to see what I'm cooking or what the dog is up to. But I don't get a lot of business from Instagram, to be honest. I have been getting more business from LinkedIn.
That's what I'm finding a lot of for me too. That's why I hang out on LinkedIn. So
yeah.
Well, Meg, and case in point, that's how we met. Like pretty much everyone who's been on this show, I've met through LinkedIn. The power of LinkedIn is huge for so many things. Meg, you are awesome. I have learned so much. You've given us so much value. So thank you so much for being on the show today. It's been a pleasure.
Loved it.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thank you. So everyone, thanks again to Meg. Check her out, follow her for all kind of great information to keep you in check on search or SEO. Stay tuned for next week. Thank you, everyone, and we'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. We definitely need more impactful entrepreneurs like you out there. So if you'd like to learn more about how I can help you build your personal brand to grow your business, please check out yourbrandyourbusiness.com. And until next time, you have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. Now go put yourself out there and watch the business of you grow.